Doctor Doom is the one who made Shang-Chi's 10 rings. So the big question is, where do the rings actually point? My bet, they're pointing to Loki's position on the time tree. How did Doom pull off the impossible and weld tech and magic into one system? Where's the Doom versus Tony clash going to happen? How does it happen? And why is it about to be one of the most insane battles cinema has ever seen? And yeah, I'll also break down Doom's armor at the end. What's up? This is Lord of Leaks. Hit like, subscribe if you want to support, and let's crack this open. Disney's Expo in China reportedly showed an official synopsis: Doctor Doom has entered the MCU. The villain is both a cutting-edge scientist and a top-tier sorcerer, and he initiates a full-scale crisis across the multiverse. That word initiates matters, because the multiverse isn't just randomly falling apart, it's being pushed toward incursions. Incursions are the nightmare scenario. Two universes collide and both get erased. Victor's plan isn't to brace for impact, it's to accelerate the collapse. He wants to tear down the current multiverse and rebuild it out of the wreckage into Battle World, with himself as the ruler. Loki believed he'd already beaten the ultimate tyrant. He took down He Who Remains and set the multiverse free. But the twist is that Loki and the TVA didn't truly grasp what free would become. The multiverse keeps branching, multiplying, and thickening until it risks imploding under its own weight, a reverse Big Bang, the Big Crunch. Everything compresses to a single point, then detonates again into a new multiverse, a new cycle. Marvel seeded this cycle idea through Fantastic Four with Galactus, implying he comes from a prior iteration of reality. And now Loki is literally sitting at the center of the tree, holding the whole structure together by force. And this is where the 10 rings stop being a cool weapon and start looking like a map. In Shang-Chi's post-credit scene, the rings light up and broadcast a signal, and that signal matches the energy signature of the tree from Loki Season 2. So the simplest read is also the scariest. The rings can be a direct route to Loki, and the Avengers may try to use them to reach him before Doom does. But there's a darker alternative. The rings might not be ancient mystery at all. They might be Victor's design. Not just enchanted metal, but a deliberately built hybrid device created to sniff out the TVA and lock on to Loki's location. The movie frames them as 10 unknown origin rings that grant bizarre mystical power. Wenwu finds them centuries ago and becomes untouchable. But if the insider talk is right, Doom made them from the start, and that instantly explains everything. The rings aren't a random artifact, they're a key, and the lock they open is Loki.
Using the rings, Victor's trying to trace a path straight into the heart of the multiverse tree and take control of the entire cycle. But how does a man invent something that's been around for centuries, maybe even 1,000 years? The answer is almost too obvious. One, it's Doctor Doom. He's a genius so far ahead that even Tony Stark looks like advanced beginner next to him. Mixing bleeding-edge tech with mystical power for Victor is basically the equivalent of us making coffee. Two, he has the one advantage that breaks every timeline: time travel with no leash. In the comics, Doom builds a time machine right from the start, all the way back in 1962, and that machine is instantly treated like top-tier Marvel tech. He throws the Fantastic Four into the 15th century, the pirate era. Reed even runs into Blackbeard, and that's how the canon starts flexing its Mastabe. And it doesn't stop there. In Iron Man Doom Quest, Tony and Doom get sucked through a time vortex into Camelot, where Victor almost ends up ruling at Morgan Le Fay's court. Then Marvel revisits the same concept again years later in Legacy of Doom, this time launching everyone into the far future, 2093, where the stakes aren't political anymore, they're cosmic. Those stories show what Victor really wants, not just Latveria, not just a country, time itself, and the inheritance of entire civilizations, which is why Robert Downey Jr. randomly stoked this exact fire. He posted a weird little clip with 2 books on his desk, Classic Secret Wars and Iron Man Legacy of Doom, and the second cover literally sells the fantasy, Tony versus Doom. Fans immediately connected the dots and started screaming that Marvel is building toward that duel. And honestly, it's the perfect multiversal trick, RDJ playing 2 roles that crash into each other in a lethal showdown. That's not simple fan service. That's a setup for one of the biggest spectacle conflicts cinema can manufacture. And here, the theory plugs in clean. MCU Doom might not be an outsider at all. He could be a Tony Stark variant, the one who survived his snap somewhere in the branches, but paid for it with a ruined face from the stone's power. He sees incursions coming, starts moving through time and the multiverse, gathering leverage, trying to rewrite the rules. Insiders say Victor will be shown fully, both as a magic user and as a tech monster. And it's not just vibes, there are signals. At a Disney promo event in Shanghai, they reportedly showed early art or visuals teasing Doom. First, a giant image of Victor across the expo facade. The costume is comic accurate in spirit. Medieval armor, gauntlets, chainmail, and that correct green cloak. Not a sleek modern iron suit, more like a Latvian monarch. And then the throne shot, which sounds basic, but in Marvel, a throne is never decoration. Loki, Thanos, even Cassandra Nova, anyone who sits down on one ends up being tied directly to the next disaster. So yeah, now Doom is on a throne. The only mystery is what that throne actually is, his own, built in Latveria, or a Frankenstein monument made from the wreckage of multiple universes. Next frame, green energy running across the room like a living current, and then Doom is holding a skeleton. Either he straight up tore out a spine, or he reduced someone to bones in one disgusting instant move. It's savage, but it's also a very obvious Secret Wars wink. God Emperor Doom deleting Thanos with one motion. And I wouldn't be shocked if Marvel recreates that exact beat, just with a different victim. Maybe not Thanos, maybe Kang. Then we get the full reveal, Doom hovering in the air. So yes, flight is on the menu. After that comes the money shot. He spreads his arms and reality looks like it splinters into shards. Then he compresses those fragments back into his fist and throws them out again, like he's stress testing the universe for fun. Visually, it screams What If, that Uatu versus Ultron fight where they're literally cracking through multiple realities like they're glass panes. And here's the key detail. Marvel treats that pane as a real layer, the observational plane, where the watchers stand outside everything and watch the multiverse unfold. In this promo, it looks like Doom is breaking that plane and rebuilding it into something that belongs to him, which basically reads as our first proper tease of Battle World, a patchwork world stitched together from the shattered pieces of different universes. But we're not done. A tiny green light appears, then it shapes into massive spectral hands, Victor's hands. They forge an energy ring, and it looks way too close to one of Shang-Chi's 10 rings to be coincidence. Remember that post-credit signal? That used to scream Kang setup. But if Marvel is pivoting, this is the pivot. The 10 rings get reassigned to Doom. Inside that ring, green runes bloom, straight Doctor Strange vibes, and it tracks because Doom is that rare Marvel character who's not tech or magic. He's tech and magic at the highest level. And the final implication is obvious. If Tony is really going to throw hands with Doom, he'll need more than a standard suit. In the comics, there's that legendary gold armor, the God Killer, so cracked it could go toe-to-toe with Celestials. If Marvel wants this duel to feel historic, that's the kind of upgrade you bring out. And yeah, I'll say it, the movie already sounds packed to the point of insanity. This many heroes, this many villains, one wrong move and it turns into chaos. What's your take? Tell me in the comments. People always drop some wild, smart theories there. I highly recommend watching my video about the Avengers. It already has over 80,000 views and a ton of cool comments. And if you like this breakdown, hit like and subscribe. It seriously helps. New video tomorrow. Bye.